Change must happen. Cruz Show, Power 106. It's DJ E, man. Listen, we have some very special guests here. Let me start with Yesi Ortiz. Hello, Yesi Ortiz.
Hola, J Cruz.
There she is. Nick Cannon is here as well. Nick Cannon, thank you. And it's always good to know that you're a call away, bro. So thank you very much for that, Nick Cannon. And Dr. Melina Abdullah, professor at Cal State, LA. She is a Black Lives Matter organizer, hip-hop scholar. And again, she's got beautiful eyes, and she's here with us as well. Hello, Dr. Abdullah. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, and Wendy Carrillo is here as well. Good morning, Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Up? So good to see you. Wendy is still single, fellas?
And she got her red lipstick on.
The red lipstick is on, right?
Single, bilingual, and ready for the revolution.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I like that. Nick Cannon is smiling. I like that. I like that. So we decided to get together, and shout to the Game and Problem. They are on their way, so drive safely, fellas. We decided to create this special edition of Knowledge is Power to hopefully understand or create a better understanding of what's going on, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, you said something off the air to me that I think is very important. I think you should say it now.
I wanted to help create a space where we can ask uncomfortable questions, but it be safe to ask uncomfortable questions and move forward with some sort of positivity and some sort of inspiration to ignite social change.
Yep, and Mayor Garcetti checked in with us before he was headed into a meeting, and this is Mayor Garcetti speaking on what's going on.
Good morning.
Mayor Garcetti, good morning. It's your boy, J Cruz.
How you doing, Jay?
What's up, family? How's it going?
Doing great, man.
At Mayor of LA on Twitter, IG, and Snapchat. The website is lamayor.org. Mayor Garcetti, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always great to know that you're a call away. We appreciate that.
I'm here for you guys. I appreciate it, too.
My man, and as usual, 818, never hate. The great 18, you feel me?
Yeah, absolutely. The Valley Boys.
We got to give you major props on getting together with Game, Snoop, and Problem last week. I mean, that was just major, Mayor Garcetti.
Well, it was a moment when everybody was hurting, when, people saw fallen cops and their families, when the woman who was shot, who was a protester, said that police officers shielded her children, when we saw the videos earlier in the week that broke our hearts. And those artists can bring the message and have resolved one former Crip, one former Blood, that this Sunday they're actually bringing together all the gang leaders they can in the city to see if they can bring peace to the community and a truce like we had after the uprising in 1992.
Sure. We remember that, man. This is the special edition of Knowledge is Power. Mayor Eric Garcetti, my boy, man, is on the phone. What can we do as citizens other than peaceful protesting? What else can we do as citizens?
Well, I think protest, first of all, is a really important place because it continues to drive the discussion. But I came back yesterday, from the White House in Washington, D.C., where the president asked me to join a conversation. And I think we as individuals, first of all, can cross over to the other side of the road. I had civil rights activists who looked police officials square in the eyes and said, I'm sorry for your loss. And police chiefs who looked back at people of color and said, I'm sorry for the hurt that's been caused by this country and by racism, not just years or decades old, but centuries old. And I think, first of all, if we can do that where we live, where we work, where we are, that's a great first step. Yes. Second, you can support some of the community things that we're doing to build those bridges between police and the community. Summer Night Lights is a program we have in the city of LA at 32 different parks, our toughest parks, but it keeps the peace and it allows young people to get jobs in the summer.
That's
and
great.
Then third, if you are an employer, we want to have other jobs, not just in those parks, for young people, because this is about economic justice, too. When people don't have opportunities, desperate things happen.
Right.
And this summer, we're hiring 15,000 young Angelenos. They're going to make $2,200, get an internship working in a film studio or at a business or a bank or even at Starbucks. And those things give people a pathway to success. So if you're an employer, contact my office through my website, and let's get some more young people hired to set them onto a path of success.
Thank you, Mayor Eric Garcetti. Hang on for a second. We also talked to him about what the LAPD is doing to ensure change in our community as well. More on that next. Nick Cannon is here. Nick Cannon, if you can describe our current state according to Nick Cannon.
Man, I always say America is broken. Honestly, and it's just a lot of people in pain.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And when you see a lot of people debating and going back and forth with statistics, and I always say, man, it's not really about who's right, it's more about what's right. And we all know that a life is a life, and we all want to respect life. So that's how we're trying to approach it, to where, it's a lot of times where people want me to come on different shows, CNN and Fox News, and debate, and it's like, why? To make you feel better about the situation? It's like, no, we really want to implement change, and we really out here taking the right steps for our community, and that's why we all here today.
Yeah, and I think we are more than a hashtag.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
As human beings, we're all a bullet away from being a hashtag.
Right.
Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? And I think we need to do more than just hashtag and peaceful protest, I believe.
100%. And that's what we're doing. I mean, like myself, Game, so many others are really showing how much they really, we've done stuff in the community quite often. You know what I mean? I salute the Game just for so many reasons, because just even quietly, without being on the radio, without being on the news, we've done stuff in the community where we've helped, situations, whether it was gang violence or all those different
stuff that nobody really sees.
Yeah, we just do it just because we know we care, and too much is given, much is required.
Absolutely. Welcome the Game to the show. The Game is here.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming up, man. You've been doing some amazing work, Game. I know you had a meeting last night, and you've been having multiple meetings. You've been on multiple news outlets. I mean, this is major, and to see someone like the Game use his voice in this way has to inspire so many. And I'm sure you've spoken to many people you've inspired recently, Game, and in the past, and I'm sure you've spoken, Game, to good cops.
Yeah. I need my. I think I need my little volume up.
Oh, it's okay. Wendy, can you show them?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Live and direct.
So is there good cops?
There's good everything,
Mm-hmm.
and there's good. There's bad everything. There's good dogs. There's bad dogs. You know what I'm saying? It's good humans. They're bad humans. What we need to stop doing is stop thinking and allowing ourselves to believe that we are each other's judges. You know what I'm saying? Like everywhere you go, somebody is judging somebody. Somebody's in my case or Nick's case, somebody's saying, well, how can Nick Cannon talk about the streets? Well, he ain't a gang member. He ain't.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to stop that. You know what I'm saying? Gang, you're supposed to be a gang member. Why you meeting with police? Why you
Have you been getting those? Have you been having those conversations?
Yeah, I've been getting that, but you can't. I'm unbothered. I'm unmoved by that. I am 100% sure of who I am. In my skin, I'm comfortable being who I am. I go anywhere in Los Angeles, and I'm not. I'm not scared. And it doesn't matter if it's a Crip neighborhood or essays are there or whatever. I'm from Los Angeles. I represent it. I've taken it around the world, and you're not going, tell me I can't move through my city the way that I want to, especially when it's on a positive front. So I'm not worried about that.
Your son, Harlem, started a GoFundMe page for Officer T. Norman in Arkansas, and his goal was, $50,000, and I believe it's over $69,000 now.
Yeah.
So Officer Norman in Arkansas can have toys and gifts and stuff for the kids that he's touching, that he's talking to every single day.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. Congratulations to you and your son, Harlem. That's major.
I appreciate it. So initially, he started off, he wanted to do 10,000. And I told him, I was like, man, you got to think bigger than that, And I said, how fast do you spend 10,000? I'm talking about on some Yeezys, a little chain. Right. Pretty quick. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So we raised it. I had him go in there, and he edited it, and he raised it to $50,000. And I mean, in less than 24 hours, man, it was raised, and it surpassed that, and it's still moving. And I think that's amazing. Number one, for my son, to have a father that has been on F the police front his whole career and basically his whole life, for him to, for me to parent him in a way that he doesn't judge people, based on, our experiences as adults. And that, I've taught him and raised him to give everybody a chance, and for him to go do his own research and find Officer Norman, who I had no idea exists, and, for him to take initiative was dope. And so I support him.
Dr. Abdullah is here as well. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
you. I would love to hear your perspective on everything that's been happening here.
So I think a lot of conversation has been going on, but I just want to ground things in the work that we're trying to do as Black Lives Matter. I do embrace what Game just said about there's good everything. At the same time, we have to separate individual people from systems. And so it's really important that we understand what the system of policing has been doing to our people.
How do we do that?
So we have to understand that when we talk about the transformation of policing in this country, when we talk about reimagining and redefining what public safety is, we're not attacking the individuals who decide to become police officers. We're saying that the system of policing is fundamentally flawed, and we're actually challenging, if you are truly a quote-unquote good officer, then you need to hold that system accountable. And we have basically 3 examples of that. The sister in Baton Rouge, there was a sister about a year ago in Virginia, and there was a Puerto Rican brother in New York, who talked about how police prey upon our people. And that's really, when we think about police kill black people every 28 hours, at least every 28 hours. Yes, absolutely.
I actually want to bring a point too.
Sure,
well, actually not bring a point, but bring up a question as far as when people say, well, what about, the black on black crime? And how do you define that? How do you break that down and explain to someone?
Yeah, there's no such
And is that fair to say black on black crime? You know what I mean? Is that fair to say?
No, it's not. I mean, crime is crime, and when you start to classify it, I mean, that's it. Like that goes back to what I was saying. What point are you trying to prove? You know what I mean? I get that all the time. People are like, "Oh, you're out here protesting, but we don't see you protesting when your own kind of killing each other." Yes, we do. A life is a life. Violence in any neighborhood against anyone is totally wrong. So I get offended when people talk about black on black.
And there's people and organizations that have spent decades trying to deal with the structural issues that bring about violence and crime in our communities. So one of the things that I agree with the mayor on, which is very rare, is
that's okay,
is that we need to invest in resources for our communities. Right now in Los Angeles,
greatly we need to do that.
Right, we spend 54% of this city budget on LAPD. We need that money to go to the resources that actually generate, to countering the crime generation, right? So what does that mean? It means we need to invest in livable wage jobs. We need to invest in intervention and prevention work. We need to invest in mental health resources. We need to invest in providing sustainable, permanent housing to people. 1 in 22 black men are currently homeless. That's crazy. And so if we were to reallocate those resources, we would be able to get to the crime within our communities, because the crime is usually a crime of need. And so if we meet the needs, then crime goes down. And so that's the work that we want to do. We want to transform the way that we think about public safety and really build peaceful, safe, just communities for our people, and by extension, all people.
You know what bugs me is people seem to fight over the hashtag as well. Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
White privilege. Blue Lives Matter.
Latino
lives matter. All lives matter.
If you haven't noticed, anytime that you group yourself up separately and give it a name, there will be another group of people who do not like that.
Right.
And going a step further, and I'm in total agreement on everything that the doctor said and then Nick said. But I know this, and I've done my research. I'm very educated as well as street smart, and I understand, and I need everybody listening and to understand that as Latinos from the beginning of time, and as African Americans from the beginning of time, we were peaceful people. If you go all the way back to the beginning,
if you dig deep,
we were peaceful people. African people are a people that rejoice and get together and sing and dance, and so and so on. It's the same on the same accord. So have Spanish people.
Oh man, have you been to a quinceañera? You know,
it ain't even been to one. It's look out your window. It's one on the left and one on the right. But
the similarities of the culture,
right?
What I'm saying is that until we were shown violence and put in these situations that sort of rendered us helpless over the course of our time on Earth, man, we didn't turn on each other until one guy was, and until the system plucked one guy out and gave him an opportunity, and that guy comes back, and we looking at him like, damn, you not one of us, you Uncle Tom, and you coming back over here in the Lamborghini and a chain.
Right.
Well, we want to rob you of that, and so that's there's a disconnect. You know what I'm saying? Inside, internally, in all in all the races that are minorities, and again, I don't like black on black crime. I don't like the term black on black crime. But as just asking you to further educate myself. We as African Americans need to be held accountable. And Absolutely. So what is it? What do we call it? so that I can tell, one of my homies that this is what we're doing, and we're doing it to each other. And so I don't like to call it black on black crime, but we still we killing each other. And I'm not just pointing the finger.
Right.
I've shot at Spanish gangs. I've been shot at by black people. I've shot back, and that's the reality. But how do we convey a message to really that is really going to register with people that are actively shooting and carrying guns and leaving the house, really, that are scared. When you leave in the morning as a gang member, it's not even about I'm about to walk outside and go kill somebody. It's about, if somebody try me, then I got to defend myself. And once that happens and you defend yourself and that guy dies and his homies feel like, damn, he killed our homie, then it just goes back and forth until the percentages of, minority deaths in one of the biggest cities in the world is just disgusting. And I mean, this dialogue, these conversations, Black Lives Matter, like all of these are entities that are needed and that are positive forces in change. And law enforcement will be held accountable for one way or the other, whether they have more resources, more weapons, more than we are people. We stand strong, and the more that we unite and unify ourselves together with our separate groups, we'll be able to stand up and change laws over the long run. But who's going to do something about a person that's going to die tonight?
And that's what we hope to bring, some sort of conversation, some sort of peace, or some sort of guidance and understanding for this show. And the phone lines are open at 818-520-1059 if you have a question for any of us here.
Please
or
ask
an uncomfortable question, because like I said earlier, this is a safe place to ask those. And that's what we want to go ahead and give our listeners and our community a safe place to answer.
And you have entrepreneurs here, you have radio personalities here, you have a doctor here that is educated in political science and knows, and you have people here that can answer questions. You have an educated gang member, and a lot of people like to say, I'm a former gang member. No, I'm active gang member. I'm not going out selling drugs on the corner. I have kids, and I understand that there are consequences that at this point in my life I'm not willing to face. So I'm treading a little bit lightly, but I am who I am. I will not detour from it, and I think that allows me to stay grassrooted with brothers that are still there.
Right.
And everything in my life is still relative to theirs, so I got to be who I am, and we here.
Hashtag knowledge is power on Twitter, Instagram, and everything else on social media. Game, you had a big meeting last night.
We had a big meeting last night.
And how did that go? What was said? What was understood?
Whenever you have a meeting of the minds and powers that be, there will be a lot of opinionated people, and there will be a lot of knowledge that is kicked out. And we just listened to each other, and we had attorneys there, and we had the mayor there, and we had doctors there, and we had gang members there, and we had actors and comedians, and we just had an African American cool little chill kickback, and we talked about some issues, and a lot of things were addressed. But at the end of the day, we held hands, we said a prayer, and I think that is the first step in opening communication within amongst ourselves, and reminding each other that we all have these platforms and we're all held accountable, and we should use our platforms to help change the problem.
Can you imagine what we can get done if we work together?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I want to go back just a little bit to the hashtags of Black Lives Matter, because a woman like myself who's Latina, and I want to be able to tell my voice that it doesn't mean that we're saying only Black Lives Matter. There's an only in that. And I want to clarify that, because that's important. I get told, well, you're Latina, it should be Brown Lives Matter, and it should be, as opposed to All Lives Matter. And we have Dr. Abdullah here who can further explain the meaning behind that, because I think it's very important to understand. To touch a little bit about
I see how people are offended by that hashtag.
So I think that points to the way in which racism prevails in this country, right? Why is it seen as something that's hostile to say that our people are important? The reason Black Lives Matter is important, and the reason we push back against those who counter with I won't even say the counter, right? The reason we push back against it is because black people are at the bottom of every possible social and economic measure. We are killed more at the hands of the police. Infant mortality rates, joblessness rates, homelessness rates, really every measure you can imagine, we're at the bottom. And so it's really important that we understand that if we talk about creating a just and free world, we have to begin with the liberation of the folks who are the most oppressed.
Sure.
There is no invisible only in front of Black Lives Matter, but we know that when we talk about liberation struggle, that you begin with the folks who are the most oppressed, and by extension, everyone else gets free. So what's really beautiful about our movement is we are Black-led, ally-supported, and really courageous folks from people who are not Black, right? People who identify as Indigenous or Latino or Asian or white, come out and support our work. Right now, we are occupying LA City Hall because a sister named Riddell Jones, a mother of 2, was shot dead 11 months ago by LAPD, and they found that shooting was justified. She was accused of stealing $80 with a kitchen knife. For that, they shot her dead and left her body in the alley for hours, traumatizing the children in that community as well as her 2 children and husband. And so we're saying that, the mayor of this city, the mayor of Los Angeles, needs to hold the police accountable. And if he won't, then we will hold him accountable. What's happening in front of City Hall is a lot of Black folks, a lot of new Black folks, a lot of real young Black folks, and a lot of young Latino folks, a lot of young Indigenous folks, a lot of young Asian folks, and old ones, right? And a lot of white folks out there supporting. We had hundreds of folks out last night. It was the 3-year anniversary of Black Lives Matter, which was born right here in the city of Los Angeles. And we had hundreds of folks playing music, spitting poetry, doing all kinds of things in the streets. And we're doing it together because we all understand that once Black people are free, all people get free.
Absolutely. And the website is blacklivesmatter.com.
Absolutely.
And people can go there and they can get more information.
And
they can
our
get involved.
Twitter, follow our Twitter, BLMLA, and the local stuff is on Twitter.
And just so you know, from a street level, when you are, when you're joining, Black Lives Matter rallies, marches, or just the front, right? Those are lives that are out of the way of harm. Those are lives that are joined together with, without targets on their back for the same, same reason, same positive push, man. So, like I said, everything, it all needs to happen, and it's all positive, and we're all fighting for the same change.
Sure.
And that's what
the same common goal, know?
100%. I mean, they say, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I came out this weekend with a spoken word piece called Black Lives Matter, and it was just to that point, because when you read the comments or when you have these conversations, everybody is like, they're mad because you're saying Black Lives Matter. Well, I'm mad that I have to say Black Lives Matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the reason.
Why are we there?
Yeah. If I didn't have to say it, if all lives did matter, then we wouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter. I'm only making it about race because the system has always made it about race. And I tell people often, even in my stand-up act, I talked about it because it's kind of funny, but it's like when we say save the whales, everybody ain't saying, yo, what about all the other fish in the ocean?
Right.
No, we saying
he's
save.
Playing, but that's dead serious. That's dead ass.
We say save the whales because the whales are endangered.
Right.
Just like our species is endangered. So we got to step out and actually say, we're just, when it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's about making it aware. We're trying to make you aware of the problem.
Sure.
Black people are just saying, stop killing us. And we got other groups of people saying, but wait, hold on.
But wait, yeah.
But we're just saying, please.
There's no but there.
There's no but. We're just the reason why we're saying Black Lives Matter is because it's a cry out, because we're trying to let you know that we know the system doesn't care. We know how they feel about it. Sure. And by saying that, everyone can matter. I understand when you say that, but like we're pointing out the problem, and that's all it is. And I don't want anyone to get offended by it because it's so much more than a hashtag. It's a movement.
Sure, man.
There was a really great photo. Can you hear me? There was a really great photo that I saw on social media, and it was a young Black woman, and she had a sign, and it said, hashtag Blue Lives Matter. You're only a cop 40 hours a week. I'm Black 24/7.
Right.
And that was incredibly powerful, and just hearing it. And like, how many of us have Black friends, Black family members? We love the music that Black people create, Black athletes. So how do we say, wait a minute, hold on, like I understand like you're getting shot and all, but wait,
yeah,
sure,
that's not cool, you know, and it doesn't take away from anything that other communities are experiencing. We just got to acknowledge that
right now
this
is this is the one that is suffering the most. Absolutely. And we need to come together and help and unify.
Don't get into the hashtag politics, you know, that's not about that.
Right.
We're taking your calls now. 818-520-1059. Alex in Norwalk is on the phone. Alex, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Really good, man. Thanks for joining us, man. Knowledge is power. Now, you're saying education starts at home, and I agree, man. What else do you have to say?
Well, I mean, basically to that topic, education starts at home on both sides, both with the police officers and with the kids and the people that are getting shot by these officers. In my city alone, there's been so many shootings from, that are often officer-involved shootings, whether they're justified or not. We don't know all the details, but, it's just sad to hear, and I can understand why so many people are angry. But at the same time, we need to educate our kids to stop having all these attitudes and walking around with a chip on your shoulder and expect to get respect by giving attitude. And that's just not something that officers are going to respond to well, especially right now. They're real quick to pull the trigger. We all know that. But why give them the opportunity, or why give them a reason to do it by giving them attitude, but not obeying their basic response to just stop?
Sure.
So I think it's really important. I got a speech by my mother, my brother and my sister and me. We all got the same speech, and I find myself giving that same speech now to my 12, 9, and 6-year-old children, right? About how to survive, right? But the sad truth is, despite the speeches that we give our children, despite the speeches that we received about, being respectful, keep your hands on the steering wheel, all of that said, that didn't save Philando Castile, right? That didn't save Trayvon Martin. Sure. It didn't save lots of folks. Ezell Ford, who was simply walking home. And so, yes, we want our children to have as many tools in their toolbox as possible. We want our people to have those tools and maybe possibly minimize things. But the truth is that is not an assurance. And so the only way we can be assured of surviving these interactions is by beginning to transform the system that's keeping us oppressed. So it's like if you think about the savannah, right? We can't tell the gazelle, here's how you run faster, right? The lion is going to get you, right? Unless you detooth the lion, right? You in trouble. And so really that's how things are set up. This policing system is set up to target us. If we think about the way gang injunctions work, the way in which, police officers are trained to see us as criminals, regardless of who we are, just by virtue of where we live or what our race is, right? It's them that has to change. And we can try and do as much as we can to guard folks, but we really have to transform the system. So we're challenging you to not just have those conversations at home, but to come out and help transform things by putting pressure where it belongs.
Dr. Melina Abdullah. Yeah. There she is. Nick Cannon is here. Yesi Ortiz. Wendy Carrillo is here. That's Power Family. The Game. You have something for us as well coming up?
Yeah, man. I just want to, say a little piece that I sat, with my son last night and, sort of wrote with everything going on in my mind. So, I'll share it with the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, that'll be next, man. Knowledge is Power Cruise Show, Power 106. Game has a spoken word piece that he'd like to give to the city right now, and I think that's dope. Thank you, Game.
Yeah, man. Like you said, shout out to Problem, man. He really wanted to be here.
Of course.
But, he was in the studio till about 7, so I will stand as, two fellas from Compton today.
My man.
Him, man. It's a piece, I haven't even named it. I fell asleep writing it, and so it may sound unfinished at the end, but hopefully, it correlates and it really resonates with the people who are listening.
Sure.
And so we'll start it off like this. The problem started with our fathers being forced to sell drugs to our own people, given to us by the same government that locks us away in cages. taking black men out of the ghettos they were put in and leaving the black woman and child alone to survive in a world with little or no resources because they lacked the strength instilled upon man by God, who as our creator knew in which role the male species would play in building of what we now know as the earth. We were put here to share it as one race, the human race, but over time the devil and his hatred of God has caused a wedge between man and the earth, or a glitch in the matrix, as some would say, causing a ripple in the bloodlines of black, white, Asian, Spanish, and Indian cultures, causing a segregated lifestyle in which the minority, yes, the minority, it being us African Americans, has suffered the most in all areas deemed inhumane, from being slaves tied in chains to slaves hung by gangs. These gangs, the American government and KKK, are now equal to African Americans when we roll up and pull out a KKK. But who are we pointing our guns at? Each other, our sisters and our brothers. But we scared. Yeah, we scared to point it in the direction of others. But the white man, he'll walk in church and kill our aunties and our mothers, and we just lay down in the streets cold and stiff under white covers. The same covers the Ku Klux Klan wore over their heads to do us in. Then we get pulled over by the police and they wonder why we got guns, because you ain't gonna shoot us, man. We want to defend ourselves like Mutombo. We want to be at home reading our children Mickey Mouse and Dumbo. We want pardons by Obama before he gone, so we make it home just in time for grandmother's gumbo. But it won't happen, because even Barack don't have the freedom that he wants. He in the White House with black skin. I'd rather be out in the front. But his daughters, beautiful young black queens, living the American dream, while our daughters are on the other side of the fence getting pregnant in their teens. And I want to say this. And no, I do not blame our president I blame the government for trying to erase the black man since our existence. This fight has been fixed. It is a trap. Yeah, it's a trap, black man, set up so we can never be as rich as Bruce Wayne. That only leaves us with Batman, a character in a mask that has to hide his identity, do all the work for police, killing minorities, saving them time and a whole lot of energy. And we got enemies. We got a lot of enemies. Government want to see us all in the penitentiary, trying to put the slave back in it. You know they'll murder us. Look how they did John Kennedy. So black man, please put the blunt down, the lean and the Hennessy. It's time to father our future so our existence is more than just a memory.
Well put, man.
Oh my God.
That is awesome.
That's
you said you wrote that last
powerful
night? You fell asleep writing that last night?
Yeah, I fell asleep writing it, man, with my son Harlem, man, and we do on the Anderson Cooper show at 4 p.m. to talk about,
Oh, that's great, man.
What he did, man. So, yeah, it's just a small piece.
I just got chills by hearing him
right?
say that, and then seeing him read it. Mm-hmm. You can sense and you can see the passion and the meaning behind the hurt, and the pain that everyone has.
It's the power of words,
right?
Yeah. And I believe everyone is affected by this. I mean, we're all hurt. I mean, the community is in a great state of hurt, And
if you're not hurt, you need to wake up and realize.
Right.
If you're not hurt, you need to understand what compassion is, and look upon your own lives and try and find some sort of compassion.
And don't protest. Don't protest for the gram. Protest because it's in your heart.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you really living it. You really understand it.
It's amazing what you guys are doing up here at Power 106, even having this opportunity where we can all collectively have these conversations, ask these difficult questions, because that's what our community needs.
And that's what I feel, not to cut you off, but when we had this discussion, I said we can't stand by where hip hop lives and not have this conversation.
Right.
Wendy and I had that conversation, and she brought up a great point where this was the fundamentals.
Hip hop is founded on social justice and the fact that it was about music that talked about issues that were facing the community. One of the founding albums for hip hop is NWA's album, and it's about a song particularly dealing with the police.
Sure.
And so that was how many years ago? And we're still talking about it now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now we're just seeing it more.
Yeah.
Because of social media. We're seeing all these names, and as a journalist, I feel like you become numb in a sense, because every day there's a new name.
Yeah.
Every day there's somebody new. Yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of Sandra Bland's death, the woman who was pulled over because of a broken tail light.
I think the key is to not be numb by it.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself to be numb by it.
Mental health
happening.
does affect. Mental health is shout out to my boyfriend, Dr. Milo Dotson.
Hey, there he is.
He's a mental health therapist, and we talk about this all the time, about how mental health does cause stress, race-related stress, social justice, fatigue, and that's very important to take care of yourself. Like Wendy's saying, as a journalist, as me as a radio personality, although we cover mostly, we pop cultures, it's also our job to be aware of our surroundings and our jobs to understand what's happening in our communities. So I get affected by it. I couldn't sleep last night, because I want to be able to help someone listening now with all of us together and have some sort of unity and a safe place.
I remember getting pulled over once, and I remember somebody telling me to put your palms up on top of the steering wheel if they pull you over, so they know you're not dangerous. So I did that, and I was asked to calm down by a police officer when I did that. And I said, "Sir, I'm just trying to make sure that that you know that you're safe, and I'm being safe here as well." And I was asked to be calmed down by a police officer. He said, "I'll calm down." And I was confused by that, because I'm like, yo, here I am trying to make you feel safe, and you're asking me to calm down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You said something earlier that really stuck to me. Like, it kind of broke my heart a little bit. But you said, we're just a bullet away from being the next hashtag.
Sure.
And I mean, if you really think about the fact that we've had to have conversations with young people in our families to how to act towards the police, it's a system of victim blaming. Because what needs to happen, to happen is a conversation with how the police really act towards community, and whether you're out there arresting or whether you're out building relationships, which is a huge difference as to how policing and community can relate to each other.
Yeah, and even more than that, and I'll be short. I know we got callers.
We have Roland in LA on the phone.
You know what? I'll wait, and I'll keep it aside until we talk to them.
You sure? Okay, Roland is on the phone. Roland in LA. He's got an idea. Roland.
Good morning.
Good morning, man. Thank you for joining us, man. Knowledge is power. So you have an idea. What is it, Roland?
Man, I seriously believe that the police are so divided from the public that in part of their training or sometime in their career, they need to live with somebody in the public, be it a gang member, somebody from another race, whatever, a week, a month, something to where they can look at them as people and not a problem.
Yeah, that's part of hey man, that's number one, that's a brilliant idea.
That's a great idea.
And they have different training than the public. They have police training. We don't go through police training. So when they do pull us over, we doing us. You're just a human, but they don't look at us as that human.
Right.
That's all. But much love to y'all for what y'all doing, man. Much respect.
Thank you, Roland. We appreciate your thoughts, man. Thank you so much.
So what I was going to say sort of coincides with what Brother Roland was his idea. The things me and Snoop did, we went down to talk to the mayor and the police chief, and we went down for a specific reason. We think that there's a disconnect. And we know there's a disconnect. And as soon as we see the police, everyone in this room has been harassed by a police officer at one point.
I get nervous.
But you can't just blame it all on one entity, because sometimes when we get pulled over, and I've done it too, before the officer even comes up to my car, I'm like, why the pulling me over?
Right.
It starts when you're young. No one told me that there were good cops, and that no one explained that to me, and just as many bad cops, and so I hated police as a child. Before I even knew why I hated police, which is why I take a different approach in making my kids aware and parenting. But it's like they were open to listening to me, and I spoke strongly, and so did Snoop. Snoop was angry the entire time that we were talking about.
Right.
Angry.
Yeah.
I ain't with this, cuz I'm with them. They don't understand our power, and
Sure. Right.
And by the end of the mission, he was a little bit more calm and a little bit more receptive to the idea of reintroducing ourselves to law enforcement, and having them giving them a chance and opportunity to reintroduce themselves to us, so that hate one civilian by one law officer, it starts to banish itself. And there are laws and all of that, and there we can remove the mayor, put a new mayor in, or we can say that these are the solutions, and cool, those work too, but right now we can just change it by just being cool. You don't have to get a signature to to say what's up or to be polite. You know what I'm saying? All of those things happen now. When it's as small as something as being on the elevator and just saying hey to everybody on the elevator. You know what I'm saying? A place where we're normally quiet, just speaking and open in dialogue and peaceful conversations with the people
really
that exist
easy
on Earth.
But It is and it isn't, right? I think we absolutely have to love our people, and we have a little difference in opinion about
and we should.
how we should get down with the police, because I don't believe in meeting with the police. I understand that the system is fundamentally flawed. The way that we meet with them, so for 3 years we've been meeting with them. We go to police commission meeting every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and attempt to dialogue, and we're always met with resistance. Most recently, violent resistance, where most of us are being arrested for 9 weeks straight for speaking. I was arrested for speaking 2 minutes and 15 seconds instead of 2 minutes. An 81-year-old man, Tut Hayes, was wrestled to the ground for speaking off topic. He was dragged out, head banged against chairs, and he was arrested for speaking off topic. So I'm done trying to speak with them. What we need to do, what I believe we need to do, is transform this system. Anytime you put militarized weapons in the hands of people, right, it creates a relationship, whether that person is loved by their children and their family or not, whether they're a quote unquote good person or not. When they have military grade weapons and then they go into our schools, let's be real clear about what's happening in Los Angeles. These police are armed with military grade weapons going into our schools, policing our children. And so what we need to do is beyond the interpersonal. It's really about systemic change and saying that we don't want these police walking around with this kind of weaponry, walking around treating us as if we are enemy combatants. We want to transform a system that, and globally, this is not, you know, something that's seen as absurd, but for some reason here in the United States, when we say disarm the police, people go, oh my God, what will we do if we disarm the police? Well, the same thing that they do in Europe, right? The same thing that they do in most developed nations where police aren't walking around.
Things are a lot safer.
Right.
So what do we tell our friends, and I ask this to everybody here, what do we say to our friends that are angry, that are getting ready for war, quote unquote? How do we educate them, and how do we calm them down?
I think that there's power in righteous indignation, right? There's power in it. The way that things are transformed in this world is through funneling our righteous rage into demonstrating and exerting. I love what Game said about we have power. We do have power, right? And so if we think about how we ended chattel slavery, if we think about how the first wave of lynching ended, if we think about how we won civil rights, how we won voting rights, it's by channeling that rage and summoning the power of the people and all coming together to demand something different. So we invite everybody to join Black Lives Matter, to join whatever organization resonates with you and get with people of like minds so that we can summon the power of our people, the ancestral power of our people, the spirits of those who we see right here on this brother's shirts, right? So when we think about, you know, all of those names, Brother Ezell Ford, Sister Riddell Jones, all of these names of people who've been killed, their spirits are still here. And the last thing I want to say, I know I'm going a little long, is that we can teach people to be polite, but Tamir Rice was perfectly polite when he was playing alone in a park with a toy and killed in a span of seconds. Aiyana Jones wasn't doing anything wrong when she was asleep on her grandmother's couch and at 7 years old was killed by Detroit police who suffered, didn't even lose their jobs behind it, right? And so, you know, we absolutely have to love our exude love into the world. That's something that's hugely important. And use the love and the rage to fuel a movement that's going to transform things.
This is the first of many discussions that I think are very important to our community and that we should be having more of here on Power 106. So Nick Cannon, I want to thank you very much. Dr. Abdullah, thank you very much. The Game, Wendy Carrillo, thank you very much. And Yesi Ortiz, if you can give us a final thought, and I invite everyone to give a final thought on this situation. Yes.
Oh wow, the pressure on me after all of that. I have to start with the final thought.
We'll start with Yesi.
Jeez, I think for me personally, compassion is key, and I'm going to go ahead and add to what Dr. Abdullah said. Love. Moving forward with love, moving forward with educating ourselves, moving forward, being informed, and not to be afraid to be informed and ask questions if you don't know. Because there's too many times I run into people and they say, but Yesi this, but Yesi that. It's like, okay, I understand those buts. However, I don't agree with what you're saying. So educate yourself.
They're speaking from pain.
Right,
I think they're just frustrated and they're feeling it,
And that's what I would say. I mean, first and foremost, I would say I commend Power 106. I commend the Cruz Show and everybody.
Thank you, Nick,
for what you guys are doing, because this is needed. Because honestly, I say this often: hurt people, and that's ultimately we're. It's so much pain going on. It's so much frustration.
I think we see more of that in the comment sections on YouTube and Instagram. And
everyone's hurt.
Yep.
Everyone's in pain, and we're acting out, whether it's through our words, whether it's through the lack of understanding, whether it's through the violence that we've recently seen. So ultimately, I always say, Gandhi, Dr. King, they all said it best: an eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. But we need to open up and make sure that we stay woke.
Dr. Abdullah, final thought.
Sure. So thank you for this platform, and thank you all. I'm really excited about the work that you're doing, Nick and Game,
this is inspiring.
Everybody here. I want to remind people that we have power. Right? We have power, and it's not about going up and saying thank you to the police. It's about going up and saying, what is it that we have to do to build a peaceful world, right? And so we want to say, protest is a part of building a peaceful world. We're out in these streets. We are occupying LA City Hall right now. If you want to know how to get involved, come down there. We're on Main Street between First and Temple 24/7. We got food, we got music, we got a sleeping bag if you're willing to stay over. And it's a party in the streets until the police chief of LA is removed from office, from his post. So if you feel like that's part of your calling, please join us in Black Lives Matter and follow us at BLMLA.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah. Game, final thoughts, please.
My final thoughts are just,
for today. Final thoughts for today.
For today are just everyone's doing what they're doing, and it's we got one common goal, and it's to stop killing each other. I think that all entities are positive and can be proactive and can coexist. So just figure out what's for you, join it, and fight.
Wendy Carrillo.
Well, I would say this. Thank you for the invitation to coming back and being a part of this discussion.
Of course,
I think
Wendy,
it's incredibly important. If you're still thinking hashtags All Lives Matter is more important than Black Lives Matter, just stop. The Black community is literally telling you we are being killed, and our killings are being broadcasted 24/7 on a news cycle. That is not okay. So just stop it and just acknowledge that this is happening. I will leave you with this quote by Cesar Chavez, and I hope that folks that are listening are inspired. Once social change begins, it cannot be reversed. You cannot uneducate the person that has learned to read. You cannot humiliate the person who feels pride. You cannot oppress the people who are not afraid anymore. And that's the moment where we're at.
That's awesome. Thank you, Game. What's going on?
Hey, one more thing.
Yes, please.
For all, for my level of people listening to the streets. Sunday, July 17th, 8039 South Vermont Avenue. Myself and Snoop Dogg, Minister Farrakhan, Minister Tony Muhammad are inviting all gang members to come out, have an open dialogue, a peaceful dialogue. Don't bring the BS because it'll get smashed and you'll be removed.
Right.
But all gang members, gang leaders from every gang and every ethnicity in LA come out. So again, it's July 17th, this Sunday at 11 a.m., 8039 South Vermont Avenue, Los Angeles, California. Come chop it.
This was so needed. I want to thank all the guests here today. Thank you guys very much for your time. Everybody here has amazing lives and busy schedules, and you're here this morning, so we appreciate that. And I know Los Angeles appreciates it as well, man.
Yeah, and positivity takes a lot more work than negativity, boy, because I ain't slept in a week.
But Game, we thank you, man.
We all need a nap. Yeah.
That's right. We all need a nap.
Of these Nike sweats. I gotta get home, man.
That's right. Knowledge is power. Power 106, where hip hop lives.
Best then, better now. Get yourself a pair at Robert Wayne Footwear.